Howdy, folks. Happy Tuesday. We survived a really big rainstorm here in Western New York, and it apparently rained all over the Northeast. I don't know if that's from the hurricane that was out in the ocean or
we had it. Yeah, we had it days ago. We've been getting like 85-degree weather and like 70-something at night, which is crazy.
Yeah, that's nuts. But we'll start with the pre-show. Go ahead, Russ.
Okay, so let's talk about the NFL again. 5 coaches tested positive, or at least are in protocol for the New Orleans Saints. And they're like, doesn't matter, game's going to go on. And I just, again, have this feeling about this season. You've now added a game onto this season. And if there are enough of these games where players are rotating in and out, coaches are rotating in and out, it's really going to be hard to look at it historically and say, yeah, this is going to be like one of the great Super Bowl teams, whoever wins, because it's, again, they didn't practice much. You go now, and let's say they go into this game and they have one coach that's normally there on the field and the rest are even on headset or whatever they're doing. It's going to impact the game.
Well, we didn't mention it when it happened last week, but when Hunter Renfroe from the Red Sox was interviewed on WEEI in Boston and basically said that Major League Baseball was telling them, I think he said that they were telling him not to test anymore, just to treat the symptoms.
That's what he said, but he's a little bit of a lube job. So do I believe him? I don't know.
Well, okay, maybe something got lost in the translation. All I know is that Major League Baseball, 5 minutes after that came out, said, no, that's not the case. And, they really – But, see, this is the thing. And I saw a picture of this. There is definitely some – how should I say, virtue shopping or virtue shaming going on where, like, for example, there was a big celebration or big gala at New York at the Metropolitan, and they took pictures. They had a bank of camera people taking pictures, and like every other person or most people were masked. And as soon as they took the cameras walked away, or most of the cameras, like they were done, people took the masks off, and then somebody snapped a couple pictures and did a comparison before and after, and it was like 5 minutes after. And so there's, this is the thing. It's like, I think the NFL, I think these leagues are saying all the things that they should publicly because they want to promote the fact that, they're being responsible and we're 100% vaccinated and this and that. But I honestly, do I think that they think that this is as big a deal as everybody else? I don't think they think that.
Well, I would tend to agree with the NFL, especially. That's for sure, because they have bigger rosters, but still, team unity is team unity, and the NFL is. I mean, the rules that came out, and and they're still not reporting many teams, if any, that are 100%. Like the NHL's reporting a bunch of teams. The Flyers are the latest to say, if we're not 100% today, we're going to be by the season start. But he thought they were, Chuck Fletcher thought they were already. So the hockey teams seem to be more unified in that. One more thing. So not necessarily highlighting last night's game because it wasn't a great game. You could tell teams were still out of practice. And anyhow, the Raiders are an interesting team because Mike Mayock used to be on NFL Network. He became the GM. Everybody said he's a great draft guy. And so far he hasn't been a great draft guy. And that team has not been good in 3 years. The best record was last year, 8-8. They did win their first game last night, barely. They were looking bad for a while. And you kind of wonder, Mike, they can't get out of Gruden's contract. They could get out of Mayock's, but the Raiders are supposed to have this history of winning, and I don't know if their team's good enough this year either.
But they haven't had that history of winning going back to when Gruden was there the previous time.
Well, he did make the playoffs a couple of times.
Right, but I know.
The
last time they won a Super Bowl was with him. I mean, I think they made it with Bill Callahan, but, this is an organization that since the old man passed away and Mark Davis has taken over, they're really – sort of flailing about. I mean, they're sort of like the AFC version of the Washington football team in the sense that they have great tradition, long history, but they haven't won a damn thing in 20 years, 25 years. So
that's the other bigger point. The other bigger point is, like, I love writing about prospects and coming up with draft lists and all that and looking at it before and after. But it's a lot different to be that guy in the studio or be me at home and going to games and everything, or being me saying, okay, Russ, now you get to make all the picks, and then having to rely on your player development too to kind of carry you through. It's not just about the picks anymore. No. Now it's the whole complicated process. And that's why I always say it's not even just about what happens on draft day. A lot of it is about what happens after it. And that's in every sport.
Yeah, Matt Millen was a great commentator on TV. He was a crappy general manager.
One of the worst, actually.
Yeah, so it's like just because you think, just because you may know something enough to observe on television doesn't mean you can actually do it in practice. One other thing, I don't know if you caught any of this, but I caught about a quarter and a half of Peyton Manning and Eli Manning doing sort of a secondary audio broadcast.
Yeah, I didn't catch it.
It was okay. It was pretty decent. They had something to contribute. I thought it went downhill a little bit when they were interviewing Kelsey, the tight end from Kansas City. And, they were sort of distracted by that and not concentrating enough on the actual game. And I wanted their insight as, guys who have won 4 Super Bowls and, the being fairly sharp quarterbacks, but it was, hoping to get something sort of like what Romo brings to the CBS broadcast.
Yeah, well, you want that? Then put him in the booth for the regular game.
No,
I don't understand the concept.
They don't want. They've already got a crew. What they're trying.
I get that, but I don't understand this concept. And I think Scott Laughlin said it very well on SiriusXM this morning. He was distracted at one point from the actual game because.
Well, what the reason he was distracted is because they put the game. They had to have Eli and Peyton in a small window. It was sort of like Pardon the Interruption. They had them in a small window on each side, and then they minimized the game. And you're like, okay, I want to see the game and not see them. I don't need to see them in a little bit in the corner, fine, or cut to them every once. But I want to see the that on the big screen. And that was the one down.
You know what? I don't need to watch the game with Peyton and Eli. I don't. If you want to have them on before and after, great. If you want to have them on in the booth, great. I don't understand a second audio concept. Romo kills them just doing what he normally does in the regular game. I'm sure he's way better. And I'm sure they'll get better. Don't get me wrong. I just think it is too distracting. If I turn on a football game, I've turned it on to actually watch the game first and then the commentary second. I don't ever turn on a game hoping to go for the commentary first. The only time I ever do that is if somebody's retiring, like with the Tigers. What was it, Harlow?
Ernie Harwell?
Harwell. When he was retiring, yeah, I listened to a few broadcasts because I never listened to him before. I've tuned into Euchre a couple of times over the years and some of those kinds of guys. But at the end of the day, that's not why I'm watching sports. I'm watching sports for the actual game. Right.
And the broadcast does it accentuates it. It helps it. I mean, I've watched games where the audio was off, or where they, the ones where they sometimes would just have a no play-by-play, and you do miss something when it comes to that. But
I just think it's an awful concept, and if some people like it, great. But there's no way. Eck, I don't know how you feel about it, but I don't want to turn on a game and just watch guys like having a party and
what are we talking about? Because I came in on. I just think that's an awful.
Eli Manning and Peyton Manning did their own little thing, and
they did a
secondary to their commentary, basically.
Right. They had the Monday Night Football game on ESPN and ESPN2. On ESPN, they had Steve Levy in the regular broadcast, and believe me, you could fire Booger McFarland and you wouldn't get a tear out of me. But then they had on ESPN2, they had the same game with Eli Manning and Peyton Manning analyzing the game. So I didn't mind it. I thought it was actually pretty good because they brought some insight, but I thought it was a little distracting. They were interviewing somebody during the game, and they were sort of like not following the game at times. I want them to follow the game and say, well, this is what happened, or this is what's going on, or whatever.
Wow, so, it's funny. I didn't see it, but the only thing I did tune into some football on Sunday, and I was just watching the Red Zone thing. I was around like 5 o'clock or something like that. I really like that program, Red Zone show. It's awesome. It just goes around and it's great, because we've been doing this thing for 4 straight weekends now, guys. We've gone to I don't know if you've ever been there before, but it's called oh my gosh, I can't remember it. Oh, this is ridiculous. Oh my gosh, I'm so bad.
What?
It's a boardwalk in New Jersey that we've been going to.
Ocean City.
No, it's north. Oh my god. Anyway, we're going
City.
Yeah, no, it's like it's
Long Beach Island.
I saw JVR there 2 weeks ago. Friggin' gosh.
Well,
anyway, it's a boardwalk. I'll remember it as the show goes on.
Wildwood.
No, it's a nice boardwalk. It's got an aquarium on it. Russ, how about that? Aquarium on the boardwalk.
It's not Margate, right? So
it's Central Jersey.
Central Jersey. So you're going Belmar?
Yeah, no, it's Central Jersey, so it's up there. It's more like it's right where 90 is.
Anyway,
that's worth. Let me tell you the story.
Yeah.
All right. So what we do is we've been going there on the way home from the shore, even though it's like an hour from Margate to there, and it's an hour 15 from there to our home. It's an hour and a half from our home to Margate, but we like to take this trip because it's fun on the way home. And I have won for 4 straight weeks a giant stuffed animal. I'm incredible at the ring toss game. Like you have a ring, you're ringing all those 2-liter Coke bottles or whatever. My dog decided to chew the loudest bone he can and drop it on the floor behind me. Stay there. All right. So anyway, so we've been just cracking my wife up because what we do is we have the dogs with us, so we can't someone has to stay with the dogs in the car, and while someone goes to the aquarium with my son, and then someone plays games with Chance with my son. And then my wife and I end up by going to see the B Street Band, which is like a cover band for Bruce Springsteen.
Right.
Really good Bruce Springsteen cover band. Yes. You're not happy about this? That I just did that? I know. I'm sorry.
I was talking about the.
Look at this. This is like crazy. She's decided that since I took her bone away, she's not happy about this at all. I know. I had to. It's making a lot of noise.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
She's not happy.
Anyway, so we've been going to see this, and so then in my little time off when my wife went with the boy to the aquarium, I put on the Red Zone package with Startup Show, whatever.
Right.
I put on the Red Zone package, and I was watching it, and I saw one of the most ridiculous calls I've ever seen in football, and it just frustrated the hell out of me. I was watching the Miami New England game, and it was for a second, and there was a roughing the passer call on Miami. Did you see this at all?
I did not see it.
I was a quarterback, and it's like this was like there was nothing at all that the defender could have done to avoid what he did, and he just tackled the guy. Literally, just tackled the guy, and he was being blocked into him as well. So he was lower, I know, but he just blocked the guy. And this is a really key moment in the game. It continued to drive at the end of this first half. Continues New England on. It was just like one of those things, like conspiracy theorists, who think New England gets a break. Oh my gosh, this was like I had to think that this was completely going to be something that everybody was going to talk about today. So anyway, I just remembered it because it was a football thing. So
that's fine. That's fine.
But it was a really crazy call. It was ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous.
I just wanted you to answer if you'd watch a game with Eli and Peyton, or would you rather watch the regular game because it's not distracting? But you found something else.
Yeah, no, I'd rather watch the regular game. Okay. I don't like distraction from announcers. I'm not like really into announcers entertaining me. I really just I want to watch the game. I know enough about that sport. I know that's important. I always think there should be 2 options. Like one for like the person who's just a casual fan, and one for the person who actually knows the sport. With less announcing, because I'd rather do that. Like to me, I know football. I mean, you guys. I jokingly say I don't know about football because I don't follow football with you guys, but I was a quarterback my whole life, and I was a quarterback in high school and everything like that. So I do understand football. I just don't enjoy watching.
You definitely have to understand it. No, they did a kids version. I don't know if they're doing it this year, but maybe rather than the kids version, they do what you said. I actually think that's a good idea.
I think people would love it. Just like really basic stuff. Like I want to hear. I wouldn't even mind just the crowd for the most part.
You just need a 1-man booth for that one.
Yeah, like a one guy calling the, saying something that happens. I mean, I do think they're really good, but they're not. I don't know. I don't like distractions. But yeah, let's move on. I agree.
Okay. We can start. Go. I mean, I've got some updates from Flyers camp. So
let's start there.
Yeah,
what do you have, Mike?
I have some not breaking news, but some signing news.
Yeah, cool. All right. Well, right after. This will be.
All right, we'll start with update from Flyers camp, and then we'll go to the signing news. Here we go.
Yeah.
As soon as I get the date, which is the 15th. Got it. All right. Hello, Hockey World. It is Monday, September 14th, 2021.
No,
it's not.
It's not. But that was a good try.
It's Tuesday.
I was just about to brag how I haven't missed one in a long time. All right. Hello, Hockey World. It's Tuesday, September 14th, 2021.
I don't know who the hell I am.
I'm
Mike Lugello.
I hope Eck didn't miss handoffs like that.
I did. I was a passing running quarterback. And I'm Eklund. You're watching the Hockey Buzzcast on HockeyBuzz.com. This is the podcast that comes every Monday through Friday. This time to fill you in on the comings and goings in the hockey world. And we're going to start with the camps which are opening and some rookie camps. And today, Russ, there was a press conference with the Flyers discussing what's going on. So what was the news? What's happening?
So a couple things. So rookie camp is from the 16th to the 19th. There's 2 games coming up against the Rangers, and that'll be fun. Excuse me. That'll be fun to watch. But health-wise, Zayd Wisdom's out till December. So now, if anybody had a thought based on his AHL season last year, could he make the team? He's not going to make the team because he was in a shoulder sling. He's still just going to kind of go through meetings, and so he's not in it. Allison's fine. He tweaked something. They took it easy on him in development camp, so he's fine. Denoyer is going to get looked at by a doctor and decide if they can clear him for the game. And there was another player that we're going to do the same thing for. Now, if I can't think of him, but
the first guy you mentioned again because it was in the sling. I missed that. Sorry.
Oh,
Zayd Wisdom.
Okay, thanks. Sorry.
Yeah. And Maxim Shushko is going to miss the rookie camp, but probably not the big camp, which then opens a few days later. And there is one other player that escapes me this moment, but they're checking on his health before they can decide if he can play in the but it's nobody that it's not a big time name. The other
is Cam York going to be a part of this?
Sorry?
Is Cam York going to be part of this?
Yeah. So the big thing is after that, when regular camp starts on the 23rd, it looks like fans will just have to wear a mask and maybe not have to do anything else. Maybe they'll do temperature, but it's not going to be any kind of big deal, and they'll be able to be at main camp watching it at Voorhees, but rookie camp still closed to the public.
Gotcha.
So,
interesting.
That's it.
I mean, it's interesting because I had talked to somebody who's really close with Cam York recently, and York is 100% aiming to make the team. Like he in his head right now,
aiming for.
I know. Listen, I know. I'm just saying in his. I know every player has that mindset, but he's like the kind of guy who when he has that mindset, he's gonna fight. He's gonna put in a fight in camp. You're gonna see something from him because he is definitely one of those guys who is a special player, and I think it'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, the team will be 100% vaccinated if they're not already.
Yeah, I'm aiming to win the Powerball. Doesn't mean I'm going to.
I know, and chances are Cam York, but at least in the beginning, I think half the year at the FAMs is the least that there should be, and at least that.
And Carter Hart's got AC/DC on his mask. I saw Jordan Hall put out a picture, and he goes, "Is this AC/DC?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's Angus. What is it? Angus Hall?
Angus Young.
Young, thank you. Angus Young." Cool. And so I knew it was Angus. And then the other one is Brian Johnson. I think that's what he has on the other side. And then he's got some sort of AC/DC lettering. So he's got the AC/DC theme going. And the Flyers are trying to pick a goal song. And this is where most teams go bad. Mike certainly has hated the Leafs goal song. Who knows what's going to happen with that?
The orange and the black is not going to be around anymore. What's that?
I guess not.
All I can say is that I went out for dinner on Saturday and they had the Muzak on in the place that I was at, and of course what came on was Hall & Oates, "You Make My Dreams Come True." And I mean, I pray that the Leafs have had that goal song for 2 years. It's brutal. They've got to change it, not because I'm like, it's because I've heard it for 2 years.
Yeah.
Change it, please.
Yeah.
And Tony Soprano in the chat, he said, he had Brian Johnson over Bon Scott. If he's a real AC/DC fan, he should have Bon Scott and Brian Johnson.
I'll be honest. I'll go 2 ways. Who the other player was? It was Tanner Lisinski, and he could actually make the team. So he's got a little hip thing from off season. He had surgery, so if he gets cleared, he'll be able to play in those games. Here's the thing with AC/DC. While I was focused a lot on prog rock in high school and everything, I knew AC/DC. I knew their songs. I pretty much missed the Bon Scott era. I did.
Yeah. No, it's. I mean,
that's the reality.
I had older friends who were into the AC/DC of Bon Scott and sort of looked upon Brian Johnson version of AC/DC, like some old Genesis fans look at Phil Collins. That was basically
right.
2 lines of demarcation. So
no, man, I just watched the other night. I just watched that. No, this is stuff. I watched the Genesis YouTube. The recent thing when they were celebrating the release.
Oh
of the albums. I watched the YouTube interviews for the first time. I had never seen them. Like I'd never seen that.
Oh, did you see the tension in the room? There was
oh my gosh, it was so awesome. I mean, and Peter Gabriel, like he does
Gabriel
come off.
Gabriel and Banks hate each other.
Yeah, they don't want
Gabriel.
to
Well, they're so interesting. And Gabriel does come off as a jerk quite often. Like
no, I think Banks.
I don't think so.
Banks does too, but Gabriel has like there's one moment he says, yes, it was. Gabriel says, in his way, yes, it was definitely a democracy, but it wasn't really a democracy. There were of us.
I think they all get along except for Banks.
It's very funny.
They all get along with each other.
Right.
But then just Banks and Gabriel don't get along, but they,
because they were like the closest to start with too. So that's also the issue, like they're just obviously long friends. They were just to begin with, I think, and that's why that Banks was really miffed when Gabriel did what he did.
They should just put Gabriel in a bubble or Banks in a bubble like they did with Pete Townsend.
They did screw him though. They did screw Peter with the whole.
Townsend was in a bubble when they thought he was losing.
We're way off track, but they did screw Peter when it's like he had his wife had the terrible pregnancy and everything like that, and the whole story that went on where they were just like being really hard, really tough with him and saying, you can't, you got to be here instead of like
your wife. Before that he left the band and then came back and.
I know. There was a lot. There was definitely a perfect storm of sorts. But anyway, moving on to So that's the Flyers. What do you have, Mike, as far as signings go?
Well, some interesting PTO news out of the New Jersey.
We're in PTO land now.
The Devils have signed Jimmy Vesey, former Predator, Sabre, Ranger, Leaf.
He gets around.
He really has.
Mark Jankowski and Tyler Wotherspoon to PTO contracts. So
I'll tell you what, Vesey's Vesey. He could still score 10 goals.
Yeah,
I like Jankowski because that team does need help up the middle.
Yes,
and he is a decent center. If he somehow gets some of his scoring back, he could get 15 goals for you. But he's a decent center, and he's a pretty big guy.
And he's a big body. Yeah,
he is a big body. So that's these are good fill-ins for the Devils. I don't know.
No, they are, and I think honestly, for what he has to work with, Fitzgerald has done a hell of a job. Like he really does. He really is putting together the best he can.
I think with the constraints he has in place that he never talks about, I'm in agreement.
Yeah, and he doesn't talk about them, and he's one of those guys who is not like out there vocally hitting the media up and stuff like that. But he's doing a good job, and oh man, I heard that all of it, Matt. But I heard the Dumba, not Dumba.
What team?
The Leafs GM. I'm sorry, guys. I have not.
Dubas.
I've been up with my son for like 48 hours. So anyway, Dubas. I heard Dubas interviewed on XM. It was back to the press conference, probably the one you were at, Mike, or one you were talking. You were involved with, and on Zoom. But yeah, where he talks about signing Mrazek and says the thing we like about Mrazek is he's used to playing with other goalies and being a good tandem partner. And when I heard that, I was just like, holy hell, does he know Mrazek at all? I mean, Mrazek has been in that situation, but that's not something Mrazek is good at and not something he likes.
Well, but Mrazek and even Kevin,
he's done it. He's done it a lot.
Kevin said that Mrazek over the last couple of years in Carolina sort of grew to be good in that role. So, they didn't, the whole thing with the Leafs is they didn't want to spend starter money on Frederik Andersen after Frederik Andersen.
I get that.
What's that?
I get that, Mike. You're right. I mean, what you're saying is right. They didn't want to spend starter money on Frederik Andersen. I mean, and they did get a guy who Mrazek can like steal games for you. He has when he's at his best, he's one of the better goalies in the league. There's no two ways about that. Like
but we don't see him at his best very often.
But I think if you're talking about who's going to be the 1A in that 1A 1B scenario, it's going to be Campbell. Now, if Campbell gets hurt or if Campbell doesn't play as well as he did last year, then it's going to fall on Mrazek, and then I think they're in trouble because I don't think Mrazek is a true number one. But that's the intent.
So you think Campbell's the one, Mrazek's the 1A?
Campbell's the 1A, and Mrazek's the 1B.
Okay, right. Wait. I was like, I always go 1 and 1A. Okay, so yeah, 1A and 1B. You're saying, and I get that. No, if they gave Mrazek the starting job, that would be atrocious. I mean,
the complicating thing here is that Campbell's got 1 year left in his contract. Then he's a UFA, and he does have a good year. Then he's going to expect to make more than Mrazek, and Mrazek's making almost 4. So then you probably got to pay Campbell 4.5 to 5, and then all the money that you're saving on goaltending, you're not saving anymore. So,
but if he has a good year, they're a cup contender. So that's like the reality is like that's to me that's we'll take that. If Campbell has a good year, they'll take it. You know, they'll have to deal with that problem for sure. You're right. And he gave Mrazek a lot of money to be just a straight up backup, but they, it's only how many years is it? Mrazek still
3.
Yeah. That's one more year than it should have been.
Yeah,
one more year than it should have been for sure.
But the other, and this is a couple days old, but the other PTO news was Colorado. First, they signed Jack Johnson, which I'm not sure why. Maybe they're doing him a favor. But Artem Anisimov, they signed to a PTO, so they're going to give them. They're going to give them a look, I guess.
Do you wonder at all? And here's I'm going to throw out a conspiracy theory for you guys here. When they saw these signings, I thought both of them, and I didn't get a chance to research this. I really would like to know who their agents are, because at the end of the day, those PTOs feel like agent favors. And we know that they just went through with, trying to, what they have to do. And they have a lot of signings to do. They have a lot of favors they need from agents. They really would like an agent to be nice to them, I think. And those two, because they're already in cap trouble. So to bring those guys on PTOs,
Anisimov's agent is Mark Gandler.
Okay, he represent anybody that is important to the Colorado Avalanche?
I'll look.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but that's what it feels like. I mean, I might be totally wrong, and again, this is just conspiracy theory.
I honestly think the same with Nichushkin. They're looking at Anisimov and saying, a couple years ago, this guy could score 20 goals.
Yeah, and he's not bad.
And in the last few years has kind of gone astray. Let's see what he can do here.
And he is Nichushkin's agent. So there you go.
There you go.
Right.
So maybe the same way they got Nichushkin there, they get Anisimov there cheap, and they upgrade their overall team depth.
Yeah.
Now, Jack Johnson's agent is Pat Brisson, and I'm pretty sure Pat Brisson is the agent for Nathan McKinnon.
Yeah, so that's a favor. That's like, and okay, I don't know. I have a weird soft spot for Jack Johnson. I want to do well.
And Eric Johnson. So he's the agent for both McKinnon and
Eric and Jack Johnson. All right. So I think, but I don't think Jack Johnson's going to make that team in any way, shape, or form. But the idea is, man, you play him in the preseason with those guys, he could look better than he has, and
sure,
give him a shot. Whatever, give him a shot. I really want to see Jack Johnson succeed.
There is one other signing too, Mike.
Yes, I was going to say, and Sam Girard. So he's agent for three Avalanche players. The other signing was Tyler Bozak going back to the St. Louis Blues on a incentive-laden 1-year contract, and that's $700. So he went for the veteran minimum, $750K. That's a really good signing because I think Bozak can still play. I thought
he can.
Yeah, Bozak can still play, and
to some degree. He's not great.
No, I'm saying third, fourth line center.
Yeah, but the interesting thing about the Bozak signing is that the word was that wasn't going to happen until Tarasenko was figured out. Now, it seems like at this point Tarasenko is just destined to be a Blue, right? Like I really don't think that there's anybody. Anywhere. There's no team that can do it. When the Islanders started announcing the guys they had signed, you got the feeling that was it.
Only if they eat money. If they want to get rid of them, they're going to have to eat money on them.
Right. And then to me, it doesn't make sense. Like, they're at the point where you might as well just gamble that he thinks that if he thinks he's better and he wants to play somewhere else, he's going to have to show that he can do that. And I think that's the reality of it. Right. So he's going to, and I think he probably will. Like, I think Tarasenko will probably take on that challenge and probably play pretty well for them. The question is, if he starts playing well for them, then what you do? Can you move him because he just wants to be out of there, or do you suddenly do things start feeling better because everyone feels happier when things are going well?
If he does well, I don't think they move him. I think they have to.
Well, he asked to be moved. He asked to be moved.
He asked to be moved, but he doesn't have control over it. And the reality is, he wants to play as a player. I don't think he wants to see it. I don't think he's going to sit out and not play. For the
no, I don't think he'll do that. But I think if he knows that he improves his chances to move if he plays well. If he plays well, it might be easier for them to move him. So I think it'll go into the season. But I don't see him, relinquishing or taking back his request to be traded.
Yeah, I think Bozak ends up playing 4C because I don't think they're going to do anything with Thomas yet. You still should let him develop.
Well, he's an RFA. He's an RFA.
I know. And Sundqvist is a 46% faceoff guy. And so Bozak is at least an upgrade from that. He's still a great faceoff guy, like 56% last year. So you could at least upgrade that way. If Thomas isn't signed yet, then this puts a little pressure on the Thomas camp.
True. All right, so let's get into Team Russia because I want to talk about them. They are really an interesting one because, this team, it can go a lot of different ways. And I think that we probably have very different teams on this one because there's a lot of players. Once you get past the first couple lines, that become very interesting for them. And also you're taking into account that Russia tends to do what they do, which is bring some of their players, from the KHL in, or they overvalue some of the players. Like, you've got to think Ilya Kovalchuk's going to be on this team, right? And that's usually what they do. He's definitely not good enough to be on this team, but he could be on this team. And this team has a really interesting thing going on. They have the best goalies of any team, I think. Bar none.
I disagree, but they're good.
You disagree? Okay.
I think they're the best starter, not the best 3 goalies.
Right.
Oh, I don't know. I think they're the best 3. And then, but that's, Vasilevsky, I think, is the best goalie in the world right now. So
he is. I agree with that.
So starter wise, they're set, and then the backups are no slouches. I mean, you got a Vezina guy there too.
It depends on who you think. Who you think?
Right. So let's start with the goalies on this team for the fun of it. Let's just start there. So So we all have different guys. My 3, I'll start with my 3. Are Vasilevsky, Varlamov, and Sorokin. Now, I know that the question is, I think Vasilevsky and Varlamov is pretty good. Although I've heard all different kinds of opinions on that. I know the third string goalie, they have so many options. Here it depends who they think is the best.
I don't think Varlamov's going to make the team. I think they're going to go with Shesterkin.
Right.
With Shesterkin as their backup. Okay.
Yeah, because Shesterkin and Sorokin know each other. They've been on the same team before. Right. I don't think they're going to go with Varlamov.
Do you think they go with Shesterkin and Sorokin?
Yes.
As the 2-3 behind Vasilevsky. Yeah.
I've heard a lot of Samsonov has a lot of there's a lot of people think that.
Yeah, but see, honestly, if they go with a third goalie, not one of the Sorokin or Shesterkin as a young guy, I think they might go with Askarov.
Right, but I don't think they'll go with any of them.
I don't think they'll do that. I think that they'll likely go, especially, first of all, Bobrovsky is not going to make it.
No.
And Varlamov has been there before, so I think, Vasilevsky more than likely is going to play like every minute of every game unless there's back-to-back games. And that's why I think it'll be Shesterkin and Sorokin as the 2-3.
Right. I agree.
If I'm them, I would go with Varlamov as the backup, though. And personally, I would, just because the reality is this goaltending is the biggest thing this team has going for it, and they need to have somebody that they absolutely know can handle this like this. And I think that the
Why
pressure.
Do you think Varlamov's better than either of the other 2?
Yeah.
Why do I think Varlamov's better than you do? I really just think.
So you're saying you think Varlamov's better than Shesterkin?
I do.
Okay. Well, I don't.
Yeah. No.
All right. Well, it's just my opinion. So I think that his record has been amazing. He's had a really good. Coming off a really good season, coming off a very good season, like he was a Vezina Trophy candidate, right? it's hard to sit there and say that he's
got a pretty great team in front of him too. We can't forget that.
Yeah. I didn't, and I did not pick Sorokin to be the starter. Everyone's saying in the chat room that's not what I did, nor would I do that.
But as an example, with the team that Varlamov had in front of him, Shesterkin did not have that same kind of defense. Yes, he may have had the Adam Fox there, but he didn't. He also had Brennan. He had other guys that weren't great. 916 save percentage. I'll look up what Varlamov was.
Yeah, I like Shesterkin. Honestly, I like Shesterkin and Sorokin better than, but I think that at the end of the day, they won't. I think that the way they tend to do things.
Yeah. See, Varlamov, he had a 929, and I think a lot of that is because of that team. Because the year before he had a 914. I would still go Shesterkin. That's just me. Okay.
All right. So let's go to the forwards. There's something about this forward team that is very obvious and kind of scary for Russian hockey in general. And that is that this is an old group. There are some young guys on here, but for the most part, when you look at the youth of Canada, the youth of the US, the Russian hockey program has definitely struggled to put out the same kind of talent over the last couple of years, that the US and Canada has. And, when you look at the age of these guys, like my first line is, I think everyone's first line, Ovechkin, Malkin, Kucherov, right. Which is like crazy. That's a crazy, awesome line. Granted, no two ways about that. Right. Yeah. But Ovechkin's 36, Malkin's 35, Kucherov is 28. Kucherov is, he's still young, still good, obviously good young player, no question about that, right? But when you're looking at guys who are in there, when you're looking at 36 and 35 as two of your top guys, even if they're Malkin and Ovechkin, I think that's a little bit old, a little bit, for what's going to be a very fast tournament. Thoughts?
No, I agree.
I'm more concerned about Malkin's injury situation than the age, because we've seen Ovechkin's still at the top of his game. He's not the player he was 5 years ago, but he's still at the top of his game, even though he's 36. Malkin, I don't know whether he can handle that, the minutes that will be required, especially if you look at what is up the middle for the Russians after him, with Kuznetsov not being available, banned. I've seen that, like, the number 2 center on some lists being like Nemestikov, and
that's my number 2 center. That's my number 2 center.
No way.
No, I mean, I don't think so. See, this is where I think
they'll probably put Malkin there instead of your grandiose.
If Malkin's the number 1 line on the number
Malkin's
1,
the number 1 center. Who's your number 2 besides Nemestikov? Barbashev?
No.
It could be Shipachyov. It could be
going to make the team for sure.
It could be Datsuk.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Datsuk. No, it's not going to be Datsuk, I don't think.
I mean, I'm joking, but I mean, that's the thing.
I mean, if Datsuk plays on this team, he definitely has an argument to be the number 2 center.
Nemestikov and Shipachyov will win that job.
I don't know. I mean, the Russians aren't like that in general. That's really.
Yeah, but the hole there is significant. Now, so now I think they have incredible talent on the wings. Obviously Panarin.
Yeah, no question.
Tarasenko, Andrei Svechnikov, Kaprizov, Gurianov. I mean, there's a lot of talent on the wings. It's just they're not going to be very strong up the middle, and that, I think, when you compare them up against Matthews and Eichel and McKinnon and McDavid and everybody on Team Canada, even Sweden, they're not in the same league up the middle.
My second line is Nemestikov, Panarin, and Svechnikov, which is, and I agree with you on everything you said, Mike. I mean, they have some great talent on wings for sure, but will they play some of those younger guys? I mean, some of the really younger guys, they aren't. I don't even know if they are ready for this tournament yet. But the Russians would have to really do a serious risk on it.
You can't have too much age on this team. I mean, if you're going to go with, and I've seen like Radulov be part of the list, and I'm like, okay, maybe 4th line.
That's what I have in 4th line.
But
I honestly, I think Shipachyov is their second line center. He had 67 points last year, and I think he started off hot again this year. Why would I put Nemestikov over him, who can barely score in the NHL?
Yeah,
I think they're looking at like a playmaking position, because they just got to get the puck to Panarin and Svechnikov, so that's where they're playing with. Nemestikov's not a bad playmaker, but
he's 47 assists last year. He's already got 9 points in 4 games. Zach, come on.
I'm with you, and there's a good chance, because KHL guy, they could definitely do that. Third line for me, Barbashev is their third line center. It could be Nemestikov if you're for you guys, I'm sure. And then my wings are Tarasenko and Kovalchuk. I think that's where they go with that.
I don't think Kovalchuk makes this team.
I don't think Kovalchuk's making it.
I
think because the KHL just has they have an ego thing about Kovalchuk.
Yeah, but they have younger Russian players.
Kaprizov will be on that line.
Yeah, Kaprizov is going to be on this team.
Kaprizov's on my 4th line with Radulov and Buchnevich.
You can't put him on a 4th line.
He's a top 6 guy.
I agree with you, but I'm just saying that. I mean, all right. So if he's a top 6 guy, where is he? Where is he, Mike? He's a winger. He's not a center.
No, him and Svechnikov will be on the 3rd line. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that's fine.
I mean, to me, Buchnevich, I think, with Radulov and Kaprizov on the 4th line. That's my 4th line. And I mean,
I don't think Radulov's going to make it. I'll tell you who I would take. Well, Radulov may make it. I'll tell you who I would take instead of Gusev, and that would be Dmitry Jaskin, who has size and grit, and he's been scoring 60 points a year in the KHL, and he's playing in the NHL this year.
Russ, I think Gurianov is going to make this team.
He's going to be on the cusp, but I think they're going to need some toughness, and Jaskin has that, and he's got size.
Yes, he does.
Yeah. All right, so moving to their defense. They got a great top pairing in Provorov and Sergachev. That's definitely, I think, their top pairing, which is solid. But then after that, it just does fall off really quickly.
It does and it doesn't. I mean, if we're talking about like, are they anywhere close to being as good as Canada or the U.S. or Sweden? No. But it's Sergachev, Provorov, Dmitry Orlov is a good NHL defenseman. Nikita Zaitsev has played internationally for Russia in almost every tournament. He'll make probably the bottom pairing. He's a right-hand shot.
Right.
And, see that then it's like, will they go Romanov for us? I mean,
well, I think Romanov could make the team, but I have a question. I'm going to raise my hand and say, is Voinov allowed to play in the Olympics?
Is who? Voinov?
Yeah, he is.
Yes.
He'll be on the team.
Yes.
I think he has a good shot at making the team.
Played in the last Olympics. He played in 2018.
He'll be on the second pairing.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, probably over Romanov. I put Orlov and Romanov as my second pairing, but I agree if they do want to go with Voinov, they.
I mean,
why would they not want to? Their defense is weak.
Yeah.
I mean, other guys, Gavrikov, Zadorov, possibly.
Those are my two. Those are my third pairing right there, Mike. You said.
Yeah. So
Gavrikov will make it, and I think Romanov will make it.
So I mean, they have
Romanov over Zadorov.
Yes.
Romanov's
faster.
Yeah. So then maybe Voinov and Orlov as a second.
I think Zadorov will make the team as a 7 or 8 because he's big and tough, and it is being played on an NHL surface. So if it was Olympic surface, I don't think he'd have a chance of making it because he's not mobile enough. But on an NHL surface, he is, and he'll be in charge of beating the crap out of forwards on the opposing team in front of the net.
And I'll give you an X factor. An X factor would be Nikita Tremankin, who has never signed with Vancouver.
Okay.
Yes.
6'7", 230.
Wow.
And he does skate okay, and he's a pretty good skater. So they may want to have that on their blue line.
Yeah. I mean, that would be something. I mean, the Russia's never really shown that tendency, though, right? To go with, how old is he? He's like 20?
27.
Oh, he's 27. Sorry. Never mind. Yeah.
Yep, 27.
Then I would say, yes, that's a really good possibility.
Yeah, he was on the World Championship team in 2018, so it's possible.
Yeah. I mean, they definitely, there definitely is something. These players who play for those World Championship teams do so to get a shot at this.
Right.
That's the whole point of it for them. And
countries
really do reward that in general.
Yeah. If they go with 8 defensemen, then I think Romanov makes it. I do think Tremankin can make it too, then.
Yeah, we have to factor in when it comes to the Russians that there's definitely going to be a quota in terms of a certain number of KHL players.
No question about it.
Yeah, they have to in a way, that's a way of promoting or justifying that league is by putting a number.
I'm trying to remember how many they did in the World Cup, which is the last time we saw them put anything like this together.
Oh, I think Shipachyov was on the World Cup team.
Was he?
I can look up the roster. It was 20, right?
Yeah, that was So I'm trying to think. I think that I remember him having at least 2 guys on that. Like they had the big defenseman too, right? What was his name? He played for the Flyers for briefly too.
Oh, Medvedev.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's gonna be interesting. So how good is this team, guys? How good are they? I mean, are they
a good team? Something else to keep in mind, although I don't know why he's not playing right now. Maybe they'll look at Podkolzin unless he's got an injury right now. Then they probably won't look at him. Yeah. I mean, the one thing you have to say about them is, listen, they've got Ovechkin, then they've got Vasilevsky. So it's hard to say that they're not going to be good in that way because at the end of the day, their defense isn't what you want it to be.
No.
Everything else is there. But what we find out is defense is really important.
It is very important, especially when you think about the kind of talent that's coming at them. But Vasilevsky can be a big neutralizer. I mean, the question is, I question how neutralizing a goalie can be when the talent just gets overwhelming. There is a point at which, we see what you see happen to goalies in All-Star games, stuff like that. There is just a point at which the offense is just so overwhelming, a goalie can't do anything about it.
Well, okay, I'm looking at the roster from the World Cup. Dadonov at that point was a KHL player, but now he's with Vegas. Datsuk was on the roster. He won't be there this time. Right. Shipachyov and Ivan Telegan were both KHL players. And on defense, All were NHLers at this point, but Alexei Emelin, Kulikov, Marchenko, Markov, they're all in the KHL or retired. So their defense is significant changeover. So they had a few KHL guys, but not a ton.
You know what it is with Puck Colson? He's out of the KHL. I guess he's going to have a chance of making the Canucks. So he'll have a chance of making this team if he were to start off really well.
Yeah. I mean, are they a medal team?
No, I think the medal teams are U.S., Canada, Sweden.
Those are the three I would pick.
Yeah.
So
I think but they could upset it again if Vasilevsky stands on his head, which we've seen done before. That's the great equalizer.
Yeah, I mean, and one thing I will say is I think that the Russians are much better off playing from an underdog role. And I think that if people do say like what we're saying here, that they're not a medal team and everything like that helps the Russians, because the Russians are not, as we've seen before, historically not great when they're the favorites in tournaments. It's always been an issue with them.
Yeah, I think so. Whoever put Danny Markov's name in the chat room, he's 45 now.
Yeah, no. Andre Markov, you mean probably, but if it's Danny, no.
I don't know. He meant Danny. He said Andre or Danny.
Are they both still playing in the KHL?
No.
Andre, I think Andre is.
I think Andre is still playing in the KHL.
Andre could be, yeah.
Because there's always these, weird things that, he might end up.
Yes.
Montreal's looking at Andre Markov, which is not going to happen, but obviously anymore. But yeah, there they are. I mean, we haven't gotten to Finland yet, but we'll see what they look like in comparison to this. And then we have the Czechs and the Slovaks and the Chinese as they want. I don't think we'll be doing a Chinese one.
We won't be breaking down the Chinese team.
No, I don't think we're going to be breaking down the Chinese team.
They'll break down all on their own.
We don't know much about the
Honestly, I'd rather break down my order of Kung Pao chicken than Team China.
Yeah,
we just don't know anything about any of the players on China. Are there some guys? Is there any? Do we know anything about anything?
Nothing. I'm sure Craig Anderson's going to be their goalie, but it's unconfirmed right now.
No,
is that going to happen? You think
Peter Ing will be their goaltender?
Yeah. Who's that? I mean, are there any NHLers that could qualify to play on the Chinese team? I wonder.
The guy the Islanders drafted, but I don't think he's ever played.
Right. Well, I bet if the Islanders draft him, I bet he's going to be on the team. I bet he's going to be on the China team.
He's been out of it. Let's see. I got to look him up.
That might be the only way Sorokin makes the Olympics.
No.
Let's see.
It'll just be to score a goal. I agree. I mean, I do kind of like part of the Olympics, though. I have to say, like the fact that there are teams like this that, I mean, the Germans are in, right? The Germans are going to be in it. They're always interesting.
The Germans will be in it.
They're fun to watch. I'm trying. So what are the other? Austria, right? Austria made it.
So the player's name it used to be Andong Song. Now they've changed it to Misha Song, and he is playing for Cornell this year. But he's been playing for the last 4 years, but he hasn't scored a point. So I don't know.
Okay.
I guess maybe he's doing statistics for them. I don't know why he hasn't scored a point. I don't know if he's really playing. I mean, last year they didn't play much. Maybe he's getting scratched. I don't know. So I guess there's a chance he could make that team.
Here are the groups for the Olympics.
Okay, yeah, I was just about to ask that.
Group A is Canada, the U.S., Germany, and China. So
right.
Canada will be playing their third string goaltender and all their scrubs, and they'll still beat China 55-0.
Yeah. No, but you know what the problem is? If you drop an early game, if you're the U.S. or even Canada, and you have to play Germany and you actually have to beat them, it's not going to be the easiest game.
No,
you're right.
Group B is they have it as ROC, but that's the Russians.
Yes.
OAR, the Czechs, the Swiss, and Denmark. So
the Slovaks didn't make it. Sorry.
No, they're in Group C.
They're in Group C. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. Continue. Yeah, I forgot there was a Group C.
Group C is kind of weak.
Yeah, Group C is Finland, Sweden, Slovakia, and Latvia. So I believe it's the top two in each group, and then 2 wild cards. I think that's the way it works.
Yeah. There is an NHLer on Denmark, right? That helped.
Yeah, Freddie Anderson.
Right, he may have helped them make the tournament, or in that like they had that play-in thing or whatever.
I think there's a couple Danes.
Yeah, that helped them in that play-in tournament that just happened.
Well, they already had a qualifier. And we saw some players play in that. Marco Rossi played in that. I don't know what came of that, Mike. Do you?
Rossi's for the Swiss, correct?
Yeah. No, is he? No, he's.
Yeah.
No, I don't. Rossi's not. Is he Swiss? I forget now.
Yeah, he's Swiss, right? Pretty sure he's Swiss. Yeah, he is.
Protein-rich recipes.
Sorry.
And there's no Swiss team.
Austrian. No, he's Austrian.
Austria. That's right. Okay.
I knew right. Swiss. Okay.
No, in terms of the Danes, Lars Eller, Nick Ehlers, Bjorkstrand, Freddie Anderson, and there's a couple others.
Nick Ehlers scored the big goal to get them in, I think, as I remember watching that. So there's no Swiss, is that right?
No, the Swiss.
I'm sorry, I'm losing my mind. Okay, so there is Swiss, and I mean they're always fun to watch. They're always interesting. They've been getting better and better all the time. That's the one.
Did Austria make it or no?
I don't think they did.
I didn't hear their name. Okay.
No, Latvia, Denmark, and China were the three likely bottom.
So Michael Raffle doesn't get to go to China. Yeah, and Slovenia didn't make it, which is interesting. Like Kovatar, that is always the fun thing about that country.
Well, there's no Team Europe in the Olympics.
There's no Team Europe, but when Slovenia made it, and Kovatar was there and they passed the Olympics, playing 30 minutes a game.
Yeah, somebody, Alan in the chat room had Lars Eller is on Denmark, which is a good player.
Yeah, he is. He is a good player. Yeah, they're gonna be. You're right, but if you lose,
they'll have some players. I don't know who Denmark will have in net though.
So in the opening round,
I don't know if they'll have another goalie in net. That's better than Anderson. When Anderson fails.
Wow.
In case he can't win a playoff game. No, we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, that's all the time we have for today.
Yeah, wait a second. Who's your favorite Edmonton goaltender? Maybe he can get his Danish passport so he can start over Freddie Anderson.
Oh yeah, no, they got to try it.
Koskinen?
No.
Stalock?
Oh yeah, Stalock. I'm really waiting for that. I want Stalock to win the job out of camp. That's my prediction. My 30 crazy predictions that Stalock wins the job out of camp. There you go. How about that?
I like it.
Could happen.
We'll be starting Bakersfield.
That's all the time we have for today. Tomorrow we can do Finland, I guess, huh? Let's do Finland.
Yes.
And that'll be fun. That'll be a lot of vowels. Remember, folks, without the buzz, it is just hockey. We will talk to you tomorrow. Thanks so much.